Well, Matt, plenty to catch up on. I know you've not managed to get a golden tan just yet, and not managed to get away from the players. What have the last couple of weeks looked like since the season finished?
It's been rather hectic, as it will be probably up and down the country at most football clubs. But yeah, we've been in more or less every day. Trying to obviously underline everything that I spoke about before the end of the season with staff coming in and obviously player recruitment's now obviously a driving force. So a lot going on, but yeah, just really enjoying getting to grips with it. Obviously things are starting to take a lot better shape now, which is really pleasing, and really looking forward to these next few weeks and see what they bring.
As you say, you've certainly not been lacking in variety. It's been everything from staff to recruitment and a bit of pre-season as well. I know you can't give too much away, but you're well on with that as well, aren't you?
Yeah, we're well on with that. Yeah, yeah, we've had to pick like a lot of pieces up. There weren't a lot organised, so we've obviously chased everything up with that. Managed to sort a trip out, which I'm sure will be getting announced very shortly, which is exciting again. And then obviously some games here, which we're really looking forward to. But yeah, I'm excited about coming back, but I'm looking forward to hopefully a week's holiday, which I'm sure will be spent mostly on the phone, but looking to get away from it and just relax and take my mind off it a little bit. But it's been really full on, as I'm sure you've been with me most of it. You're fully aware of.
We'll start with the staff appointments. Two really good ones for yourself. Two people you know very well as well. With Richard Wood, the first of those.
Yeah, I do know him really well, but that isn't the reason I've appointed him, and I think people need to be really clear on that. Woody is a great character. He's good in the dressing room. Look, he's an experienced coach. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not. However, when I bring my assistant coach in, he'll be working under experienced coaches who've coached a hell of a lot, and that's important for his development. But the side he's going to bring is that level of commitment, that striving standards, the bits in and around the changing room, the kind of being the link, arguably between me and the players. But everybody knows Woody as a player. That a lot of people know him as a man, but don't know him. And look, he puts his heart and soul into everything he's ever done in his life, and that'll be no different to his coaching. So I fully expect him to take off to a point that I'll probably be dragging him back a little bit. But it's a real exciting time for the football club, and I said all along I wanted people to have an underlying Rotherham DNA in them, and obviously Richard Wood kind of embeds that. But it's an exciting appointment for me personally. It's an exciting appointment for the club, but it's also one that is has been really thought-provoking for me, because I kind of knew how I wanted my team to fit, and I knew exactly where he'd fit into that, so I'm really pleased to get him.
It's not all that long since you retired yourself. We're not going into the ancient history books, but Woody's literally only just hung that magic hat up. Does the fact that he's so in touch with modern day players kind of add to why he's such a good appointment?
Yeah, it does, and I think it's going to be important for both sides. So Woody's obviously coming straight out of the game, so I'm sure that there'll be times where I said, "Oh, have you played against so and so, for example?" Because look, we see all the videos, we do all the research, we have all the data, but actually sometimes speaking to people who've played against them, people who might know somebody within that dressing room, what's he like as a character, is key in me building our squad and our group, because our group's going to come at the forefront of everything that we're trying to assemble.
And on to Ross. Ross, someone you know really well. He was highly associated with those fit teams under Paul Warne that, of course, he was a part of as well. Give us your rationale as to his return.
Again, a unbelievable bloke, gets the club, gets the environment, but excellent at what he does. So obviously he's had his journey and his travel, as have I, and come back. And look, when I looked at the role and I looked at the players and I looked where we were, and I didn't want to come in press and say this, that and other, but we weren't fit enough, we weren't the team that I want us to be. So when I talk about a Rotherham United team, that has to be explosive, it has to be dynamic, we have to be fit. Obviously some of that falls into recruitment, but at the same time we have to help the players we've got here. And I just think Ross will expedite that massively. He's brilliant on the grass, he's brilliant off the grass. He'll be a huge help with me with organisation, and for the sports science and medical department I'll learn a lot of him. He's big on CPD and development. You've seen the staff who we had here previously, Stephen Gilpin's now at Wolves, Dominic Reyes obviously went to Aston Villa. Callum and Ryan went to Sheffield Wednesday and Wigan, so they've all kind of stayed in the game, which speaks volumes to me of the management. Look, they're good individuals, but Ross kind of assembled that and pushed them every day, and they're now obviously flourishing under that, and I want that to happen again under this time and this remit.
I know that I personally had a couple of messages when Ross's number was dropped into the players' chat. Wonder if you might have had a couple worried about how hard pre-season's going to be. It's all about that character building for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is, yeah. And I've said all along about pre-season about how important it is. It's important about not winning the races, but it's important about hanging on in there. It's going to be tough getting up at stupid o'clock in a pre-season trip to do a run. Look, lads can breeze the run. It's not about that. It's about that togetherness, that unity, that physical toughness, really, and making sure that in 75 to 80 minutes, and look, like I managed 8 games, 5 weeks towards end of season, but you didn't have to be a rocket scientist to sit in stand to say, look, we blew up with 70 minutes gone, and we can't have that. And look, the powerfulness that we've had in terms of getting promoted and being up and among there at the end of the season has been down to that fitness. And again, look, Ross were a big part behind that. But the staff will be a big part behind that and have to drive that, as well as myself, which is why the people around me are key, but also the lads are fully aware of what it is that we're trying to achieve and what it is that we're trying to look to do. And I've made sure that they know about that going away. They've got the programmes now that they're going to have to do, and we'll know from day one if they've been following the programmes, and if they haven't, there'll be trouble, and that's how it should be, really. So I'm looking forward to seeing the players, I'm looking forward to seeing what shape they come back. But I'm also looking even more forward to what shape we can get them into, and that's going to be key for me.
And as we've said, there are some familiar faces in that coaching setup now, but as you've kind of outlined from day one, it's not going to be a Paul Warne pre-season, is it? You're going to take all the good things you've known from that regime, your experiences elsewhere, and do it your own way? Yeah,
look, I'm my own man, I'm my own person, and I'm sure if Paul was sat aside of me now, he'd say to you, look, Matt used to say this, and look, that doesn't mean I'm right or Paul's wrong. That's just opinions in football, and there's different ways that I see it. I want it to happen, and that's the way that we're trying to implement it. Look, your tactical and your technical work's key. I've banged on a lot in this interview about the physical nature of it, but getting us working is going to be important. I want the players to be able to shift in between systems and formations so that we have a plan A, B and C, not just a plan A, and if it doesn't work, we don't really know what we're doing. So there's loads of work that goes into it. Obviously, in an ideal world, I'd be taking all my squad recruitment-wise to that trip, but I'm also fully aware that probably ain't going to happen. But we're trying to work as quickly as we can and get the best deals that we can to make sure that we have exactly what we need in the building to go there. And if we don't, the ones who do go there, they'll be the ones who kind of picking all the information up. So when the new lads do come in, as it always happens, they walk into a changing room after and go, I weren't sure about that, Press. Oh yeah, and the players know the answers, which again for me is key to the trip.
The jigsaw pieces are coming to form a nice picture already, but one of those key missing bits, as you already mentioned, is the assistant manager's role. I know you're still knocking on a few doors about an appointment there.
Yeah, we're getting a lot closer. I'm sure there'll be some news in the next few weeks, hopefully. But yeah, no, look, it's been a really, really tough decision because I've got a number of top candidates and ones who, if I could bring them all in, I would. But I'm obviously, I know I have to pick one, and I'm sure the one, when they do come in, people will know that they've got a good track record in this division and know the division and know the league and know what it takes to get out of it. And again, that's been important for me and the football club to make sure that we do have a young, driven staff, but we also have the experience. And I think that obviously myself, I'm still young in terms of being a manager, but in terms of my coaching, I've been coaching 15, 16 years. So I think people forget sometimes that I was coaching when I was still playing, and you know, Andy's been exactly the same. He was coaching when I weren't playing. Richard's been coaching when he's not been playing, and the assistant manager will come in, he's probably doing exactly the same, or was doing exactly the same. So I've given you a few cryptic clues there. People obviously be playing the games, but look, it'll be great when all the staff come together. But I want people to know and understand that this hasn't just been done of, oh, there his mates is bringing them in. That is certainly not who I am. If I felt that somebody were going to bring something different to the party that helped this football club, like I'd do it at a drop of a hat, and that's no different with the staff I'm assembling now.
I'll apologise, but you've done this next bit to yourself because you mentioned the word recruitment. I know you've been sat up in Rob Scott's office pretty much all the day and a week so prior to this. Have you managed to make any headway there? And what's kind of the timeline do you think it looked like for people arriving through the door?
Yeah, we're making inroads, but it's tough. I mean, look, you've all got to look up and down the country. Not a lot's happening, and if there is things happening, it could have been happening and you don't know about them. So I'm not going to come in here and say we've got X, Y, and Z sorted and everything's going to be cooking, because look, that isn't how it is. But at the same time, we have our plans, we have our recruiters out there. Sorry. We're looking to bring the right people in here. We're looking to bring the right age group in, which is important for me. And people who add to what we've already got. Because look, we've got a good changing room in there already. The group will be better for the fitness levels. The group will be better for the organisation. And if we can add to that, we give ourselves a great start. And that's what we want to do. Pre-season's about that first game of the season. And I know people have ups and downs in pre-season, but there'll be different games that we're using for different circumstances. So some games we'll play fatigued in, some games will be fresh. And it's important that people know that, look, I want to win every game I ever play, but at the same time, pre-season's about the fitness levels, about me tinkering with things, working with things, and making sure that that first game we have the answers and we're ready to go into a season fully prepared.
There has been news of one further departure, Hakeem Odoffin, which I know came with a heavy heart from your quotes on the website last week. What have you got to say about Hacks and the service he provided this club?
I've got nothing but good things to say about Hacks. He's a great guy, both on and off the pitch. I wish him nothing best for the future. He'll be an excellent signing for whoever it is who gets him. I'm hoping that our paths cross again and he don't play as much and we can potentially loan him back. But look, that is football. I've said it all along. Look, could things have been done better previously? They could have arguably been done better previously. And again, that'll be my job from now to move forward to make sure things change like that. But Axe is a great guy. He's been a great servant to this football club. And I want to thank him on behalf of me, because certainly this 5-6 week period that I come in as kind of interim manager when I did, he was excellent, and he's been an heartbeat of that dressing room and knows what it takes at this football club. So look, would I have liked to keep him? Obviously I would have. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not devastated or I'm not, but that is football, and I'm a bit of a fatalist. I kind of know it is what it is, and Axe made a decision. Are we buzzing about that decision? No. But are we really disappointed? Well, no, because we have to move on, and this football club, whether I'm here, players are here, this football club will always go on. And that's why I say, look, it's a chairman's football club first and foremost, but it's the fans' football club, and this club will stay going while names are here, but the badge will always embed what this club's about, and that's about sticking in together and being on the front foot and making sure that we are thinking about the next phase of moving the club forward, not just about the here and now.
That's something you've said off camera as well, isn't it? Something you've tried to kind of change since you've come into the building, that whilst you do want players like Hakeem Odoffin to stay, and others that you offered contracts to, you can't kind of wait too long for those. You want to move on if necessary and get down the recruitment process with somebody else.
No, and we offered Axe a real good deal. And I know people watch this and go, oh yeah, of course you did, here you go again, but we did. It were a really, really good deal, and Axe will probably come out and say that at some point. I don't know. He might do, he might not. So we fought to keep Axe. He just fell well outside of what we've got. And look, that's football. I've spoke on many interview and many press after saying, look, like if a Man United player wants to go, he goes. Like, that's just how football is. And look, at the end of the day now, the rules are probably stipulate that the players have a little bit more power than the clubs do. And if they want to run the contract down, no matter what you do, they run the contracts down. But again, that's something that moving forward we have to get better at. I can't sit here and say everything's been perfect. It hasn't, but at the same time, we'll try and put things into place that hopefully make sure that don't happen again. But there's no guarantees even then. If a player chooses to run his contract out, then that's what happens. And I'm not saying in this instance Axe has. I'm not. He'll probably feel that the club might have come to him sooner. I don't know. But the minute I walked through the door, I've tried to sort him out. I've tried to look after him. We give him the best offer we could do, and he's chose to go in another direction. And again, as long as I can sit here in front of the camera and explain to the fans, look, we tried everything we possibly could to keep him, which we have, and he's left, then that is what it is. And it's when we probably can't try as hard that I'll be really frustrated. But in this instance, I'm not.
Moving on, as the tractors were away behind us, you've engrossed yourself in every element of the club, as we've touched on already. But have you spoken to Dave Fellas? It's probably not the kind of beach you want to be sat in front of at the moment, but work underway here at ASC New York City and at the training ground as well.
Yeah, well, he does a fantastic job, Dave, and his staff an unbelievable job every year. And even I'm sure, like, the fans sit here and look at the pitch, because I certainly did when I come back, and we're like, wow, the pitch is in unbelievable, Nick. The training ground's in great, Nick. And obviously, that, like, the chairman invests into it, and Dave doesn't have to do a great job. So I'd like to thank him and his staff for doing everything they do. But yeah, looking forward to it being green out there again and getting back on it, and hopefully giving, as I've spoke about a number of times, making sure that fans have these memories that can last them a lifetime, because certainly I have in my time being here already, but I want to make sure that we give them more.
On the subject of training pitches, a good chance to instill some fear into your players if they're watching this at home. Will there be a 400-metre track mapped out up at Roundwood?
Yeah, the track's coming through. I think it comes through with the grass, so when the grass shoots come through, the track appears. It's amazing. So yeah, there'll be a track up there, and lads know, look, I've told them, lads need to be ready. It's going to be tough, but we'll make sure that we take great care of them, and look, we're not just running for sake of running, we're running because we need to be organised, we need to be fit, we need to make sure that we can do the jobs that I want tactically, and that's important.
And you practice what you preach as well. Yourself and Andy Warrington have taken yourself off down the canal for a few jogs over the summer.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be staying with lads this year. I think we'll be a long way behind. We might have to go before them, but we might get a couple of bikes and chase them around.